Video purported to be leaked from a detainee inside the Chrome Detention Center in Miami-Dade offers a glimpse into what it's like to be held inside ICE detention. The viral video shows several men sprawled across the floor, with many sleeping under chairs and using jackets for blankets. The man who filmed the video begs for help, claiming they have been held in the center for weeks.
Estamos prácticamente secuestrados. Hay personas que llevan más de 30 días y no han sido procesadas. Por favor, que esto se haga viral. Ayúdenos.
But what is it actually like to be in ICE custody? Where are these detention centers located, and who's managing them? The Chrome North Service Processing Center in Miami is one of the 120 facilities around the country that ICE uses to detain illegal migrants. According to the federal agency, most illegal immigrants known to officials will not be detained. In certain cases, though, ICE will detain migrants with a criminal history or if they believe they are a flight risk during the custody process. The end goal of detention is removal, which can only be issued through an order from an immigration judge. If a migrant is cleared from being held in detention, then they will enter the Alternatives to Detention program, which allows non-citizens to stay in their community while waiting for the outcome of their immigration case. According to the nonpartisan research group TRACK, as of January 6, 2025, a whopping 86% of people detained by ICE were held in privately operated facilities. During his 2020 presidential campaign, Joe Biden promised to end ICE's use of for-profit detention centers. But in January 2025, all 20 of the top centers were managed by private companies: Core Civic, Geo Group, LaSalle Corrections, Aetna Technical Services and Management and Training Corporation, or MTC. Private detention facilities are still required to follow federal guidelines like the National Detention Standards, NDS, and the Performance-Based National Detention Standards, PBNDS. These guidelines cover the basics of how detainees should be treated, whether they're in federally run or private contract facilities, including safety, security, care, religious practices, visitation, and more. Private detention facilities are a growing industry under Donald Trump, who is looking to expand contracts with private prison companies to carry out his agenda for mass deportations.
But I'm not going to be satisfied until every criminal alien gang member, every criminal alien, every Trenda is eradicated from this country and send their ass to Gitmo where they belong.
Dozens of detention facilities are even reportedly opening to accommodate an estimated influx of deportations, such as the Geo Group-run Delaney Hall Detention Center in Newark, New Jersey. The 1,000-bed facility, which is the East Coast's largest ICE processing center, started receiving detainees on May 1st with a 15-year, $1 billion contract. Newark officials and activists have launched legal challenges against the facility's reopening. On May 9th, Newark Mayor Ross Baraka and several New Jersey Democratic congresspeople showed up at the Delaney Hall ICE facility, calling for the Geo Group-owned facility to be shut down. Baraka was arrested after allegedly trespassing onto the property and, quote, ignored multiple warnings from Homeland Security investigations, end quote, according to Alina Habba, the U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey. Baraka was released later that same night.
Everybody is out here for one reason. We want to make sure that I'm out, I'm going home.
Major anti-ICE riots have also erupted around the country, especially in Los Angeles after ICE agents executed a series of raids around the city, rounding up more than 100 illegal immigrants. The violent protests forced the Trump administration to deploy the National Guard to stop rioting and protect federal infrastructure, like the city's Metropolitan Detention Center, which had hundreds of anti-ICE protesters swarming outside. Many of the U.S.'s largest detention centers are clustered in the South in an area known as Detention Alley. As of March 17, 2025, the average daily ICE detainee population hit 40,424, with these 10 detention centers handling the highest average daily populations. The Adams County Detention Center in Natchez, Mississippi, has the highest daily population at 2,154. According to Track, by the end of Biden's presidency, around 1 in 20 people held by ICE were detained in Natchez. On average, the length of stay for immigrants in detention has been decreasing since Trump took office. According to ICE, in January 2025, the average length of stay peaked at 83.9 days. As of April 2025, the average length of stay has decreased to only 44.5 days.
How long a person stays in ICE detention depends on several factors, including whether or not they decide to contest their deportation orders. For those who do contest, immigration judges can issue several orders depending on the federal government's evidence. So far in 2025, almost 12,000 detainees were released on bond. 6,000 have been released on their own recognizance, 20,000 have been paroled, 131,000 have been removed, and 500 have had their proceedings terminated.
Although the U.S.'s immigration detention system is a civil matter and is meant to make sure individuals show up to court, many detention centers mirror the criminal incarceration system, holding migrants in prison-esque conditions. At the end of April, detainees at the Bluebonnet Detention Facility in Anson, Texas, were seen waving at a nearby drone before getting into an SOS formation. A few weeks later, jumpsuit-clad migrants were seen standing in the same formation and holding a sign written in Spanish reading, "Help, we want to be deported. We are not terrorists, SOS," in the colors of the Venezuelan flag. Days later, detainees took matters into their own hands, barricading themselves inside their unit using cots, covering surveillance cameras, blocking windows, and flooding it by clogging toilets. The alleged gangbangers even threatened to hold ICE officers captive and injure them. The takeover attempt lasted for several hours, with the detainees ignoring the orders of ICE agents.
Multiple reports have shown that being in ICE custody isn't a walk in the park, something a Massachusetts student who was recently arrested by ICE on his way to volleyball practice spoke about after being released from detention.
That place, it's not good. It's not good. Ever since I got here, they had me in handcuffs, they put me downstairs, and I was in a room with a bunch of 35-year-old men. And those rooms were small compared to the size of like how many men were there. There was like 40 men in there. We would barely get any attention from the people there. It'd be really hard. I haven't showered in 6 days. I haven't done anything. The only thing I could do is thank God every day, because that's all I would do. I would pray there. I would talk about the Bible to them. Sometimes our lunch and dinner would be crackers.
Documents obtained by NPR that both the Trump and Biden administrations tried to withhold show that conditions in ICE custody are inadequate, with limited access to medical care and unsanitary living conditions.
One report obtained by the outlet described filthy conditions, including bloodied communal nail clippers and sinkless exam rooms at Etowah County Detention Center in Alabama.
ICE stopped using the facility in 2022, citing ongoing concerns related to the provision of detainee medical care and a long history of serious deficiencies.
Thousands of detainees are also placed in solitary confinement every year, some for months at a time, which has raised human rights concerns. In a report by Physicians for Human Rights and Harvard Law School, solitary confinement use increased in 2023 with more than 14,000 placements between 2018 and 2023. In 2024, there were around 3,400 placements in solitary confinement, and 2025 is already on track to overtake 2024 with almost 2,900 placements between January and March alone.
In May 2017, Giancarlo Alfonso Jimenez Joseph, a 27-year-old at Stewart Detention Center in Lumpkin, Georgia, committed suicide after being held in solitary confinement for 18 days. According to a report by CNN, even though Jimenez had a documented history of schizophrenia and was identified as a suicide risk, officials still jailed him solo.
According to an expert in the Wall Street Journal, during the first 4 months of Trump's second term, there's been a nearly 800,000 decline in the U.S. immigrant population. Although there's been success with Trump's self-deportation program, the intense ramp-up of illegal migrant arrests has caused some issues for ICE. In May, administration officials pushed for the agency to make a minimum of 3,000 arrests per day, up from the 1,800 per day quota the White House initially demanded in January. ICE insiders told the Post that because of the quota increase, ICE agents were forced to deprioritize dangerous criminals and instead started rounding up people off the streets. On top of the push for more arrests, the agency is also burning through money at a breakneck pace, with Axios reporting that ICE is already $1 billion over budget. But even though the administration is working over budget, Trump is committed to bringing the, quote, single largest mass deportation program in history after announcing plans to flood Democrat-run cities, namely New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, with new, larger waves of ICE agents.
If we can't find them in the community, we're going to find them at the work site. So we're going to flood the zone, and sanctuary cities will get exactly what they don't want. More agents in the neighborhoods, more worksite enforcement, because we're going to get the bad guy. If you want to make it difficult for us, we'll do it. It'll take more time, it's less efficient, but we're not going to stop until we find that guy.
This new surge in enforcement is now causing trouble for ICE facilities, which are reportedly experiencing their highest population numbers in history. With ICE facilities bursting at the seams and funding from Congress running dry, the Trump administration will need to make big decisions if they want to keep up their pace of arrests.